Jasper, this is big breaking news, and we can tell you exclusively on Sky Sports News that we expect Trent Alexander-Arnold to be included in Gareth Southgate's final squad of 26 for the upcoming Euros. And that is quite a change from what we were being told over recent days and recent weeks, in truth. Bear in mind that Trent Alexander-Arnold has been competing with three other world-class right-backs in Reece James, Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier, each of whom have had massive success with their clubs this season. Don't forget, Kyle Walker, Manchester City, the Premier League champions. Kieran Trippier, playing for Atletico Madrid, the La Liga champions, and Reece James for Chelsea, outstanding in the Champions League final on Saturday night, won the Champions League with Chelsea. Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, has been in a Liverpool side who made it through to the Champions League places in the top four of the Premier League in the final week of the season, but by his own very high standards had a dip in the middle part of the season. In fact, so much of a dip that he was dropped from the last England squad. Southgate said when he didn't pick him for the World Cup qualifiers in March that by his own very high standards he dipped a little bit. He had some question marks over how he and the rest of the Liverpool team, in fairness, had been performing defensively, and so he'd left him out because of the other options he'd got at right back. And the indications we were getting was that might well be the case for this huge decision as well, the final 26 that will represent England at the European Championships. But no, we expect Trent Alexander-Arnold to be included in Gareth Southgate's final 26. What we don't know at this stage, whether one of the other right-backs will be sacrificed in his place. Does that mean Reece James, Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier miss out? That will be confirmed, if not before, then at 5 o'clock when the England squad is announced formally. But there is a potential that Southgate, and unthinkably almost, might include all four of them. And let me explain why that is. He said when I spoke to him in the last camp in March that Trent Alexander-Arnold was a tremendous footballer and he believed he could play in a lot of other positions, further forward as well, maybe on the right-hand side of midfield. And it's very possible that Trent Alexander-Arnold is included in this squad, maybe not as a first-choice right-back. It's possible he could be seen further forward. And you have to say his inclusion potentially creates a question mark over Bukayo Saka, who performs a similar role down the left side. He was included in England's last squad as a forward, Bukayo Saka. He's played in that attacking left position for Arsenal. He's also played left midfield and he's played at left back as well. Well, England have a lot of options at left back. If Kieran Trippier's in, he can play there. And of course, you've got Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw already there as well. And attacking positions-wise, they've got Jack Grealish, they've got Phil Foden, they've got Marcus Rashford, they've got Raheem Sterling, all of whom can play in that attacking wide left position. So maybe Southgate has decided he needs more cover on the right and less cover on the left. So has he gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold instead of Bukayo Saka? All of that will come out in the wash, but let's not detract from what is huge breaking news right now on Sky Sports News. The Liverpool Alexander-Arnold, having been left out of the last England squad for the World Cup qualifiers in March. We expect him at Sky Sports News to be involved and part of Gareth Southgate's 26-man squad for the Euros. Confirmation will come at 5 o'clock when we get that England squad announcement. Stay with us on Sky Sports News. It's all happening. Yeah, well, I want to stick with you right now, in fact, Rob, because I want to ask you as well. This is such big news. Probably the biggest talking point, actually, in the run-up to this squad announcement has been Trent Alexander-Arnold. Following his absence from the previous squad in March, I just wonder, how much do you think his response for his club, Liverpool, after being dropped? He got 4 assists and a goal in the 9 Premier League matches after being dropped by England, and he didn't sulk, he didn't throw his toys out the pram, he just sought to improve on the pitch, and he clearly did that. Do you think that impressed Southgate enough to say, OK, it looks like you will be coming to the Euros after all? Absolutely. Look, I don't think there's ever been any question mark over Trent Alexander-Arnold's character, his relationship with Gareth Southgate, or his importance to this England team. And this is the irony, is that if you had to name the best 26 English players playing in Europe or the Premier League, almost certainly Trent Alexander-Arnold would be one of those names. The problem for Gareth Southgate has always been that he has 4 world-class right-backs, and there simply isn't room in the squad for 4 right-backs when you're naming a squad of 26, or so we thought. And this is why we're starting to doubt and question ourselves a little bit now. Of course, remember, the original squad was going to be 23 members, but UEFA said because of the risks of coronavirus and the unique situation this tournament's being played in, that nations can increase their squad size to 26. And maybe that means he can take 4 backs, because 4 right backs, because all of them have abilities to play in other positions. Kyle Walker and Reece James both played as centre backs in a back 3 for Chelsea and for Manchester City, even as recently as the Champions League final. We know that Kieran Trippier can play right back. He can also play left back, and has done many a time for England as well. So if Southgate thinks that those are covering other positions, maybe that's what's freed up a place for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And look, brutally, Trent Alexander-Arnold in recent form this season has probably not performed as well defensively as those other 3 players that I've just mentioned, the players who've won huge success with their individual clubs this season. But he's probably been as effective, if not more effective, than all of them going forward. And so that's where the quandary now lies. And when we speak to Southgate, I think it'll be absolutely fascinating to see what he has to say and why he's decided to include Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're absolutely right that the relationship, the maturity that Trent Alexander has shown, the response that we saw in his performances for Liverpool in the last 6 to 8 games of the season, which helped propel Liverpool into those top 4 of the Premier League, I think has really impressed Gareth Southgate. And it seems as though he's just made the decision, look, he's too good a player to leave out. But as I say, what we don't yet know is the impact his inclusion will have on the other players in this squad, in this provisional squad of 33 that's now 32 in the absence of... Does it mean that one of those other 3 right-backs will be left out? Because that's just as big a story, by the way, if that happens, if that comes to pass in the next hour and a half, hour and 3/4 or so. If Reece James, Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier is left out, that's a massive story in its own right. Or has Southgate taken the unprecedented step of having 4 right-backs in this squad of 26, simply because they're all too good, they're all too versatile, and he just needs them and wants them as part of the camp? All of that will be explained and confirmed, I think, Jasper, in the next hour and 3/4. But look, let's not get away from this. Is the huge breaking news that we've just brought to you exclusively on Sky Sports News. Trent Alexander-Arnold we expect to be included in Gareth Southgate's squad of 26. It looked as though he was dead and buried. All of the reports seemed to suggest he was not going to feature. He was going to be sent home to have a summer off. Well, looks like he's not. He's going to be part of England's Euro squad for the first game, remember, against Croatia in 12 days' time.
Gotta love squad announcement day, Rob. Not long now until we know officially. Thank you for that update.